Alright, well, chapter 1057 is out, and Wano is over. And I'm gonna just get this off my chest right at the beginning here. I did not like this chapter. It's gonna be a much more low energy chapter than usual. I'm not standing. I'm probably not gonna be flailing around. Chapter 1057, Final Curtain, it just didn't work for me. And honestly, it took what I thought was going to end up being my favorite arc of all time, and it put it way down for me. There were just a lot of missteps, and to make this chapter be what the final chapter of Wano is, while there are so many necessary threads that need to be brought together and tied up by the end of this. Stuff that is just not going to come around. We're never going to cure the smile users because we're leaving. We're gone. We're out of Wano. We're never going to find any of the connections with Zoro and the Shimotsuki clan and the Shimotsuki village. Like, what's going on there? Is that stuff going to ever come back around? I don't know how it will ever come back around. But that's just the arc as a whole. One thing that this chapter did for me was just end the arc in such an unsatisfying way. And I don't want to focus just so much on the things that we missed, as I want to kind of talk about the chapter and specifically the things that I think that Oda kind of screwed up on. And I don't like... I tend to try and be a very, very positive person when it comes to this series. I love One Piece more than anything. It is one of my favorite series of all time. It is probably my favorite series of all time. I cannot think of a single other franchise or intellectual property that exists that grabs my whole attention the way that this series does. And I always try and just let Oda take me where he wants to take me. There have been things in the past that I've been a little unsatisfied on, but somehow it's always ended up being okay. So, maybe this is just a byproduct of me finally, reading a arc for the first time in many, many years weekly and not knowing what is on the other side of this for me that has me feeling this way. But I just want to talk about the two major flops of this chapter. And, I know that there are a ton of people out there that might not think they're flops, but for me, these were my personal huge gripes with this chapter. So the first of which that I really want to focus in on is Yamato. Now, I have for a very, very long time now been a proponent of Yamato for Straw Hat. And if you've watched my videos for any measure of time, you've probably heard me say that I think that Yamato is going to be joining the Straw Hats. And am I upset that they are not going to be continuing this journey? Yes, but I don't think that if Yamato wasn't going to join the crew, I don't think that that is the worst thing in the world. I just think that the way that Oda excused it and kind of the cop-out that Yamato is using to not continue traveling with the crew, it just doesn't make sense, Yamato's whole story arc through this entire saga since we met Yamato, really, has been that they are confined. They can't leave. They can't follow in any kind of footsteps or do anything that they want to do. What they want to do is they want to go out and they want to see the world. They want to see what's out there. And it wasn't until Luffy came along that Yamato had the ability to do that, because Kaido was literally keeping Yamato trapped up to serve Kaido's plans for what the future of Wano would look like. And do I like the relationship that Yamato and Momo have as friends? Yes. But the fact that Yamato is not setting out to sea in any capacity whatsoever, it just doesn't sit well with me. Like, the fact that, Odin started off his journey with a journey around Wano. I just feel like that doesn't line up with what we have been told about this character so far. You know, I would have been fine if Yamato didn't end up joining the Straw Hats. Would I have preferred Yamato to join the Straw Hats? Yes, absolutely I would. But if Yamato was not going to join the Straw Hats, they should have at least gone out to sea. They should have become a member of the Grand Fleet instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to chill around here. You know, one day I'll come out and find you. I didn't like that. It just doesn't make sense to me. And maybe you disagree, but that's what this video is for. I would like to hear if you disagree. This is just my opinion. The next major thing that I thought was a slip-up for this was how everything was handled with Momonosuke and his goodbye to the Straw Hats. You know, I don't think that the flashback that we got was necessary. I understand that it's supposed to kind of like hit us in the feels a little bit, but I personally think that even though the investment for the Red Scabbards and Momonosuke is a little lower than the investment was with Vivi, I personally believe that Momo's goodbye to the crew could have been up there in terms of One Piece moments, like iconic One Piece moments. It could have been up there with the goodbye scene from Alabasta. We have been traveling, and I've said this numerous times now, we've been traveling with Momo and Kinemon for upwards of 10 years now. And I really felt like the flashback, to me, it denoted a lack of faith that the audience was going to care about this goodbye. You know, we don't need to be reminded. You know, I have only been, for me personally, Momo and Kinemon have only been in my life for about 2 years because I got caught up to Punk Hazard in tail end of 2020. And then I actually got caught up to the series right at the beginning of 2021 and became a weekly reader with chapter 1000. So even if you've only been with these characters for as short amount of time as I have, I don't need to be reminded about all these adventures with the crew. I don't need to be reminded of everything that we have done for them and everything that we have been through together with them. So those basically 2 full pages of flashback leading up to what I personally thought was a very, very good moment for the goodbye, you know, with Momo breaking down and being like, please don't leave. Like, I need you guys. Like, I need you guys to make things fun. Like, I've had such an amazing time with you. That moment was fantastic. You know, Momo being on top of Luffy, like pounding on him. And then we get that panel of just, he is blubbering, just in tears. This is an 8-year-old boy who has had everything taken away from him. And now he is thrust into a leadership position. And his friends, the people that he trusts the most, the people that he has been with now, that showed him that it's okay to do this, that showed him that he has the internal strength. That moment hit me, but it felt cheapened by the flashback beforehand. I didn't need that. What I needed was maybe if we had something of Momo actually like narrating over it, like if we had seen this flashback and there had been some level of dialogue to contribute to it, really. But it did not need to be that long. We know what the Straw Hats have done for Momo, and we know what leaving Momo behind means. We're losing another traveling companion. It just didn't feel right to me. And as I said, it may have felt right to you. To me personally, the best part of the chapter was the actual goodbye. Just the panel with Momo blubbering and begging, please don't leave. And then Luffy gifting him the flag and saying, hang this somewhere. And let them know that if you mess with my friends, you mess with me. That was the best part of the chapter. That's the stuff that makes me want to get up off my feet and gesture around like a madman and say, oh my god, this chapter was amazing. Are you kidding me? That hit me right where it hurts. And I don't know what the series is going to look like without Momo and Kinemon. But instead, it just felt like, hey, feel this. Feel this. Like, hey, remember all this? Remember all this to happen? You need to feel that. And I don't know. Those were my two big misses in the chapter. The other thing that I don't care all that much about, but I also thought it was a little bit weird, was this whole Rakugo play that was going on, talking about the raid on Onigashima, and the eventual ending of it, with it being like, hey, we all know that his name means charcoal, so say it with us, everyone. The Kurazumi are born to burn. Now, this doesn't bother me as much as the other two things that happened beforehand, but this does bother me to some extent. I don't understand why that had to be the lesson that we are taking out of Wano. I feel like, if anything, the persecution that has taken place over Kaido's rule and Orochi's rule, it should have held up a mirror to the people of Wano, to kind of tell them to look inward. Now, Orochi is a bag of trash. Like, he is absolutely one of the worst, most horrific characters. I personally think that Orochi is a better villain than Kaido, because of what he did. He was just consumed by his hate, and he should not be forgiven. But in order to move past the events of what happened, the Kozuki clan and Wano as a whole cannot be stuck in the ways of the past. They have to forgive and forget. The Kurazumis were persecuted because of something that happened so long ago. The sins of one man should not persecute an entire people for generations. Like, I feel like any time that has happened ever in history, it hasn't been a good thing. Like, that's not a good lesson to be teaching. And so, it's whatever. It is what it is. It's not my biggest gripe with the chapter, but it's something that I found very odd. Some things that I thought were actually positive about the chapter. I liked that, we were finally moving on. I am very excited. This chapter, for as upset as I am that it took Wano from being my top arc down to like maybe top 3, top 4. I still love Wano as an arc, but this ending was just not good for me. I am excited still at the possibility of what comes next. Where are we going? What are we doing from here? It's exciting. This is my first time in so many years that we're going to a new island. And it's my first time ever going to a new island in the new world. I have no idea what to expect. I have theories, of course, but who knows? I'm just excited to be taken along for the ride. I loved the actual goodbye of Momo. I love that Luffy as a Yonko is now taking territory and saying, mess with these people, you mess with me. I feel like it's going to be very important moving forward in the story that we see more of that happening. I did like the interaction with Kid, Law, and Luffy, where they were all going to be setting off, and Kid kind of provoked them on, and we get that other very childish, like, competitive moment between the three of them, all going off the waterfall. I thought that was a very, very good shot. And that panel at the very end of Momo sitting with all of his retainers behind him, that was an amazing image. But yeah, overall, didn't like this chapter. Didn't like the wrap up to Wano. I really don't like how negative this video is, but I feel like it would be unfair of me to sit here and say that I liked it, because I didn't like this chapter. It's one of the few chapters in One Piece that I can honestly say I did not like this chapter. There's not much that I can find redeemable about it in my personal opinion. And I do trust Oda, but this just feels now more than ever that the pressure to finish the series is on. And if this is what that means, then I am very concerned for the rest of the series. I trust that I will love whatever happens. One Piece is, as I said at the beginning of this video, my favorite thing in the world. I don't think that anything could ruin it for me. I will be on this ship, I will be on this journey until the end, and I will love every single second of it. And when I look back over this series and over this ride that I have taken, this journey that one man and his story took me on, I will forever be grateful to have lived in this time and to have experienced this series. But I just hope that there is no external pressure on Oda, or even internal pressure. And if this is what he wants to do, but I just hope that there's no pressure on him whatsoever to rush through the series. And it would be an absolute crime if after 25 years of some peak storytelling, we ended up with less than what Oda desires to present to us within this product. But that being said, I do apologize for the negativity, the more laid-back, toned-back video. Let me know, please, in the comments, please, if you liked this chapter, if you agreed or disagreed with the things that I said. I would personally love for anybody to make me like this chapter, to give me a point of view or a perspective on this chapter that makes me rethink what's going on and makes me a little more secure in what the future of the series is going to be. As I said, I trust in Oda, but I'm a little worried right now. But that's been all for chapter 1057. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please like. If you want to see more from me, hopefully a bit more upbeat, make sure to subscribe. And I will see you guys all in the next video.